So here I am in the garage with a 1978 Honda Goldwing that I picked up recently. Now the video that I'm currently doing is going to be part of a series called From Behind the Barn to Back on the Road. So I literally dragged this Goldwing out from behind a guy's storage shed and bought it for a very low price. And I'm going to do a video. So I haven't touched this bike yet. This is just the way it was when I dragged it out from under his tarp. You can see the turn signal's broken. So anyway, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to see if we can get the motor running. And I've seen several guys on YouTube and other places that the first thing they'll do is throw a battery in it. There's no battery in here. They'll throw a battery in it and hit the button and try to start it. In my mind, on this particular engine, that's bad to do because this has been setting for several years. The cylinders are going to be completely dry. I don't know the condition of the timing belts. If a timing belt is broken or the timing is not right, you can do a lot of damage rolling the engine over with the timing off. It's an interference engine and the pistons will run into the cylinders, or into the valves, I mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what I feel is the right way to bring one of these bikes back to life. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take out the spark plugs and put oil in the cylinders. Then I'm going to remove the timing belt covers and make sure the timing belts are still intact. And if they are and the timing looks like it's still right, then I will roll it over slowly with a wrench and make sure it rolls over. Then I will spray, once I've verified that, then I'll see if it'll roll over with the starter with a battery. And if it rolls over, then I'll put the spark plugs back in and I'll spray some starter fluid in the carburetors and see if it'll fire. I don't want to put, the gas tank has dried up crud in it, and on these bikes they have a fuel pump. The fuel pump is frequently full of dried up crud and crystallized gas and whatever. So I would not try to run this with gas coming from the tank until I have cleaned the fuel pump and cleaned the gas tank. Now what I might do is hook up a gas can to it that bypasses the fuel pump and just gravity feed it and see if it'll run. So we'll see how that goes. But for today's video, we're going to just get oil in the cylinders and see if we can roll it over by hand and then put a battery in it and see if it'll roll over with the starter. And then maybe put starter fluid in it and see if it'll start, if it'll fire. So stay tuned. GoPro, stop recording. All right, folks, back to this 1978 Goldwing Resurrection project. So the date code on the tires on this bike are 2003, so almost 20 years old. It had a New York State inspection sticker on it dated 2008. The mileage recorded on the inspection sticker was 400 miles less than what's on the odometer now. So since 2008 it appears to have been ridden 400 miles. The tires from almost 20 years ago still have an amazing amount of tread on them. They're almost new. You can actually still see the mold nubs on here. So yeah, so it's hardly been ridden since 2003. So most of the last 20 years has been sitting. Look at the front tire. The tread is almost like new. There's still the mold air release nubs on there. I don't know what you call those. But anyway, they let air out of the mold when the rubber's injected. So Anyhow, it spent most of its life sitting. GoPro, stop recording. So I've removed the timing belt covers. The timing belts themselves look to be in pretty good condition. They may have been replaced at one time. I've removed the spark plugs. You can see down in the cylinders now. And as you can see, the spark plugs I took out are quite rusty. And it appears as though the last time it ran, it was running quite rich. The spark plug insulators are black. It may have also been burning oil. It looks like there's some black scale around the ground portion of the plug, which would indicate burning oil. Well, anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm going to fog the cylinders. GoPro, stop recording. Okay, I'm going to fog the cylinders with fogging oil. Okay, if you're not familiar, fogging oil will kind of spray it in there, and it kind of goes in as a mist, and it'll coat the cylinder wall. I'm using that because this is a horizontal motor. If I just pour oil in, it'll just oil the cylinder wall on the bottom, not the whole thing. So here goes. I'm going to put it in pretty liberal, like that. There, it's squirting back out. Okay, and then when I crank this over, it's going to push some of this oil back out. I'm putting quite a fair amount of oil in there because I don't know the condition of these pistons and bores. So there's that. Okay, now keep in mind that I have not attempted to turn this motor over since I acquired the bike. So this is the first time I've attempted to turn it over. I don't know if the engine is potentially seized or anything. So let's just see what happens. Well, what happens is that wrench isn't the right size. That's what happens. Now I'm turning it on the crankshaft pulley, 17 millimeter, and it turns. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it until my, I'm going to take out the okay, the engine turns over freely by hand, and I am now bringing it up to top dead center on number 1, and I'm going to check my timing. There, I'm right there, top dead center on number 1. Okay. Now my timing marks are right there. That one's correct. Yep. Somebody put some black paint on the timing marks, so you can see they are lined up. All right, let's look at the other side. Again, we can see that the timing marks are lined up. So the timing is correct. It turned over freely by hand. So the next thing I'm going to do is put a battery in it and see if it'll turn over with the starter. May or may not. Let's find out. GoPro, stop recording. Okay, I've put a battery in it. this is a battery that's been sitting on my workbench for a while. I put it on a trickle charger for a little bit, and we're going to see if this engine will turn over under power. Now this bike hasn't been run in years. I don't know how many years, but it's been sitting under a tarp behind a storage shed for a long time. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to turn on the key for the first time in years. Okay, look at that. I turned on the key. The oil pressure light lit, the neutral light lit. There's the start button. Let's see if it turns over. Nope. I hear the solenoid clicking. Hear that? The solenoid's clicking, but no action. So, maybe my battery does not have enough juice. I've got a jumper box in the car. I'm going to get that. And we'll try it with the jumper box. See if that kicks it over. If not, then we're going to start taking things apart and cleaning connections. See if we can get that starter to turn. GoPro, stop recording. Okay, as you can see, I've got a jumper box hooked up to the battery. I've got a green light on the box. It should turn over. Let's see what happens. Turn on the ignition key. There's lights. It turned over. Yep, look. The starter clutch is spinning. It's not turning the engine. It turned. Okay. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. The engine turned over. Okay, the headlight is on. I'm going to pull the fuse. The headlight does not go off when the starter rolls, it just goes dim. So I'm going to clean the spark plugs and put them back in and see if this will fire with some starter fluid. Welcome back to the 1978 Goldwing project. I've gotten the engine to crank over with the spark plugs out. I cleaned the spark plugs, put them back in, and now we're going to see if it'll fire with starting fluid in it. I can't start it with the gas that's in it. The gas in the tank is stale. The tank has a lot of crud in it, and I would also clean the fuel pump before I would try to start it using the fuel in the tank. So we need to clean the tank, clean the fuel pump, fresh gas in it, and all that. So I'm going to see if it at least fires just with starting fluid. So I'm going to pull the choke out, and here we go. Okay, GoPro, stop recording. Well, there's not enough juice in the battery to turn the engine over with the spark plugs in place. The starter clutch is not engaging. There it engaged. Trying to run. There we go. It fires. It runs. Give it one more try. It's running. Killed it with starter fluid. Okay, not enough juice to turn it over now. Okay, well, we've discovered that it will run. The engine was firing, it was trying to run, and so now the next thing to do is clean the fuel pump and at least hook up an auxiliary gas tank to it and get the battery fully charged, and then I believe it will actually run. And that'll be the first step. So I hope you guys can make some comments below and let me know what you think I should do with this bike. My choices are do a full restoration, which will put me underwater because I'll have more time and money in it than what the bike is worth. I could just get it running and put new tires and brakes on it and flip it. Or I could do a resto mod and make it into a really cool adventure bike. Let me know what you think out there in YouTube land. Thanks for watching and subscribe to my channel. GoPro, stop recording.